Welcome back to another episode of Nerdtooine in a Movie Podcast. I am your host, of course, Nerdpool Prime. Thank you very much for joining me. If you listen to this on Spotify, iHeart, any of the audio-only means of listening to the podcast, sorry that was worded weird. You missed last week's episode. I did an interview with Old Man Logan, who is a talented artist who just did a Department of Truth Korn homage cover, which is totally sick. We had a great interview, but it is only on my YouTube channel, so you missed it. So it would appear as if I didn't do any episode last week, but in fact, that is not the case. So if you're only listening to it on the audio only, please go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. Same name as the podcast, so you can get all the interviews. You probably missed quite a few pretty awesome ones. But that being said, no matter where you're listening, please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, do whatever you have to do to help me out with the algorithms, and so that all of your friends who also like nerdy content can, enjoy the fun. I do multi-fandom content from... It doesn't matter. I've always said again and again that being a nerd, it has nothing to do with comics or Star Wars or anything like that. Being a nerd is just liking something so much that you don't give a crap what anyone thinks about you for liking that. So many times that is attributed to, comics where people who have no problem dressing as cosplay and, going to conventions and all of that. But anyone who also likes sports and who wears the jerseys like I do, I have no problem admitting that I literally have so many interests that it's kind of mind-boggling sometimes. I do all this podcast and the nerd stuff. I also am big into sports and on all that. So I say all that basically just to say that if you have an interest besides basically Doctor Who, and again, nothing against Doctor Who, I just never can get into it myself, and I know that's going to make a lot of people very upset. Not saying it's bad. I just saying I never got into it. So my content is very wide. I tend to do a lot more Star Wars and Marvel and DC and stuff like that. But of course, I have other interests as well. Don't be surprised if very soon in the near future there will be music guests as well as artist-focused spotlights. So stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff brewing and a lot of great guests and things that I have in the works that I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be able to show you guys. Gals, robots, aliens, everything in between. But this week it's going to be... And it was funny, I said all that, and guess what? It's going to be all Marvel content this week. I am going to say something real quick, just so I have it on record. Congratulations to Derek Jeter for making it to the Hall of Fame. Like I said, I'm multi-fandom for pretty much anything that I enjoy. I have no problem admitting how much I love it. Diehard Yankees fan, born in New York. So to see someone like Derek Jeter, who I always idolized and was able to watch his entire career be inducted to the Hall of Fame, and for him to thank us because we loved him so much, we held him to such a high standard, and he used that to have this amazing career. So while it's not the normal content for my podcast, I wanted to personally thank you, Derek Jeter, for giving us something to cheer for all of these years, and congratulations on making it to Hall of Fame. All right, now that's out of the way. Like I said, this is going to be all Marvel content this week. I'm going to talk about Shang-Chi because I did go see that on my birthday, September 3rd when it came out, and it blew me away. And then I'm going to talk about What If, and specifically the What If zombie episode and what I feel like is happening moving forward. So first, let's talk about Shang-Chi. Now, I am so happy that Marvel made a kung fu movie that was set in the Marvel universe rather than a Marvel kung fu movie. And what I mean by that is when I watched Shang-Chi, I didn't really think this is a Marvel movie that just happens to have a lot of fighting in it. That's more of like what we saw in Iron Fist that fell very flat. This, however, Shang-Chi was a kung fu movie that just happened to have connections and be in the MCU. And for that, I applaud every single person that was involved in creating that film. I from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I will admit I had one of the best birthdays of my life this year. And you know what? I needed it. And Shang-Chi being so amazing was definitely part of it. And again, I know they're probably not going to hear this, but they probably will because they have eyes and ears everywhere. Disney, Marvel, I do appreciate you dropping Shang-Chi on my birthday. I understand that you had no idea that's what was happening. You just picked September 3rd because it was Labor Day weekend and you thought it would be a big draw, and you were absolutely right. And again, congratulations for shattering all sorts of records. Excuse me. All sorts of records. It even had Shang-Chi and Legends of the Ten Rings had a better opening weekend than the Hulk, both Ant-Man movies, if I'm not mistaken, and Captain America. During a pandemic, that's saying something. And, you know, I'm very, very glad that at this point we didn't have a letdown like we did with Suicide Squad, because while it was amazing, it didn't do very well at the box office because it was simultaneously released on HBO Max. And then, of course, the whole debacle with Black Widow and the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit stemming from that very thing, a 1-in-1 release, both in theaters and on Disney+. And let me take a second to talk about that. I really feel like it's a far easier fix than it seems to be. I feel like all they have to do is give Scarlett a percentage of the Disney Plus profits. And you know what? I was one of those people that definitely got Black Widow premium access, watched it at home, and didn't go see it in the theater. And if I'll sit here right now, I'm 95% sure that if that wasn't an option, I would have gone. Like, I'm fully vaccinated. I mean, I still observe all the guidelines. Like, even when the CDC initially said that we could take off the mask if you're vaccinated, I still was wearing a mask in stores and at work and anywhere but my home and my family's residence. So I that wouldn't have been a deterrent for me. I know it would be for a lot of people. I missed 2 Comic-Cons because I wasn't willing to really go and risk that for what don't get me wrong. I regret that I didn't make it to the Comic-Con in Orlando. I think it was MegaCon, because that would have been a really great thing to do for me. Be my first con. It would have been a lot of big people that I would have got to meet and see, and it would have been something special. And then right now, as we speak, there is SuperCon down in Miami. Because I'm based out in Florida. I've said that before. And I'm not going to that. And even though I really want to, because Hayden Christensen is there, you know, Darth frickin' Vader. And you know, honestly, I probably could get something out of him in regards to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Like, I'm not saying, hey, I'd get a spoiler, but I could have got him to at least make a comment about it. So, again, stay tuned. I've got a lot of things working to where I'm going to be going all over the place. Don't be surprised if you see me at Comic-Cons in random cities and states all across the country. Shh, don't tell anyone. So, well, I got real off track from Shang-Chi, but I got off track because obviously just talking about the pandemic. But I would have definitely gone to see Black Widow in theaters if it wasn't an option to see it from my home. Like I before the pandemic, I wasn't a big fan of crowds, and I tend to avoid going out places even before the pandemic. So everyone's complaining about I don't know if everyone was quarantined or sent home, and I was lucky enough to be able to work from home. So I just continued to work from home for a while during the worst parts of it. And honestly, it was an absolute dream. And I see people complaining like, God, I just want to go do something. And I'm like, I don't feel that at all. Like, I'll be so happy, like, to stay inside. Like, I'm starting to realize that I definitely need to be someone that doesn't have to interact with people every day for a job. But, that being said, we'll stay tuned on that as well. But Shang-Chi was absolutely fantastic. The fight choreography, there we go, good job, was just absolutely brilliant. I remember thinking to myself, like, this is some of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. Like the one in the in the train. And I'm not going to get too deep into spoiler territory here at all. I will talk about a few things that I feel I wish was, like, so elephant in the room. This part's going to be a little bit of a spoiler if you don't already know, because I mean, if you haven't looked at the IMDb page, IMBD, there we go. No, database, IMDb. I was right the first time. Damn. You already know some of the things I might say here, but it's a slight spoiler here. In case you didn't know, obviously, Ben Kingsley does make an appearance in the movie as Trevor Slattery. And for me, I wasn't a fan of the inclusion of that. I feel like they did it to give us a little bit more, like, connective Marvel MCU tissue, where I don't think it was really necessary. They already had quite a bit. Besides the fact that Shang-Chi is a Marvel character, you had Abomination show up, you had Wong, and of course the post-credit scenes. So that definitely, I feel like, was an unnecessary addition. Like, he could have appeared, but he kind of, like, became part of the fabric of the movie at that point. And I feel like the comedy, while great, took me out of the movie in a couple of different scenes. It really wasn't. I think that was. I mean, like I said, seeing it was like, oh my god, this is Trevor Slattery. This is the fake Mandarin. Holy crap! I mean, that was awesome, but it didn't have to be such an extended scene for me. And I do love, but I will admit, I love the retooling of Shang-Chi's, like, origin, because of course the original character that was his father in the comics was, let's just say, horrible. It really was something that nowadays never would ever come close to a page of any kind of entertainment. But even back then, I mean, it shouldn't have been done, but making Shang-Chi's father this Wen-Wu character, played to a masterful degree by Tony Chi-Yu-Wei Leung. I'm sure I butchered that, and I greatly do apologize. But he was so good. Arguably one of the best villains in the entire MCU canon so far. It was absolutely fantastic. And to jump back real quick to talk about, like, yes, the comedy brought by the Trevor Slattery character was great, but they had enough of that with Awkwafina playing the role of Katie. Katie. Wow, why did I say Katie? Katie. And it was done, like, her comedy seemed to roll with the movie, while the Slattery comedy kind of just felt like it was just sprinkled into the top there, just to give a little bit extra haha moments. But it again, it doesn't take away from how good the movie is. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not sitting here mad that they had an Iron Man 3 connected tissue, especially since, if you think about it, why wouldn't he be there, But also the fact that Iron Man started the entire MCU, and the, not secret, but like the secondary villain in the movie was the Ten Rings. The first Marvel movie. Well, sorry, the first Marvel MCU canon movie. Because, of course, there was obviously Blade that came before all of it. And we're going to get Blade soon, too, in the MCU, which is going to be pretty cool. But, like, the entire cast of Shang-Chi was just, like, absolutely phenomenal. Of course, you had the legendary Michelle Yeoh. I know I'm butchering these. I'm deeply sorry. As Ying Nan, what was great. Florian Manteanu. Wow, I should just stop. Razor Fist. Even characters like that were incredibly, very likable. Even the bad guys, and the ones that probably shouldn't have been so amazing were. There was not a character besides Trevor Slattery that I was upset when they were on the screen. And also so much props to Simu Liu. He just knocked it out the park. And if you haven't seen Shang-Chi, let me tell you, you're about to have a new favorite Avenger. Because this, like, he just oozes all of the great hero motifs. Like, he was trained from a young age to be an assassin by his immortal father. He ran away from the family so he wouldn't have to be that person, tried to live a normal life only to be thrust back into it by his father once again, teaming up with his sister who technically took over her father at the end. Oh, spoiler warning. Retroactive. I said spoiler territory right before I talked about Trevor Slattery, so sorry. But I mean, the action was fantastic. The story was great. I mean, like, there was not a moment where I wasn't, like, just so enthralled, just totally in on this movie. And if you haven't seen it, sorry for the spoilers if you got to this point and haven't seen it, but I mean, wow. Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, absolutely fantastic. Definitely Nerdpool approved. Nerdpool favorite, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So that being said, I'm going to get into true spoiler territory. Because I'm going to talk about the post-credit scenes. And yes, there were two. And I have to admit, oh my God, even in, like, I understand, like, we're in the pandemic and everything. There was only about maybe 20 people in the theater when I went and saw it. And they still left when the credits started. It's 2021 and how you still walking out of the freaking Marvel movie before the post-credit scenes? they're as much a part of the movie as the movie itself. And I'm like, we're literally people walking out. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Really? It's disappointing. Disappointing indeed. But, so like I said, if you haven't seen it and you don't want the post-credit scene spoiled any more than I already did, definitely back out now. Take it easy. No worries. Maybe even come back. Maybe just go forward a little bit because I'm about to wrap up. Maybe about into like the 25-minute mark or something. To get the what if stuff if you want to check that out. But, okay, so big post-credit scene. Wong is examining the rings because, of course, Simu Liu's character, Shang-Chi, gets him at the end. And there's Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner. Not the Hulk, not Professor Hulk, Bruce Banner. So the part where, like, somewhere in there, the Hulk became Bruce Banner again. And I've been talking with him a lot recently. World Travel Nerd had a theory that maybe it's taking place at the same time as the She-Hulk, the post-credit scene. She-Hulk, and he had just given the blood transfusion to his cousin, Jennifer Walters, and that's how she gets her powers. That's how he becomes Bruce again. So that'd be I would absolutely love that. Now, that being said, moving on to the biggest question. Let me start with the rings. Alien Origin. I feel like since they've been on the Earth for so long, somehow they're going to be related to the Eternals. I don't know how yet, but I feel like that's going to tie in somewhere there along the lines. Okay, now the biggest thing I found, and both me and World Travel Nerd came to the same conclusion. Where the hell is Doctor Strange? Why is Wong handling this? I mean, think about it. Nothing against Wong. I mean, Wong's the freaking man, okay? Don't get me wrong. But that being said, why would the Sorcerer Supreme not be the one handling that conversation about this new super powerful weapon that they now are looking at? Why? Where is he? So I'm guessing this is after Spider-Man No Way Home, and I feel like at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, we're gonna lose Doctor Strange, and he's not gonna come back until his movie, which is only like one movie later, I think. But that for me was weird. Like, why? And where's Captain Marvel going? I mean, I don't really care that much because Captain Marvel is just so powerful that they leave her out because if she's there, she can solve most of the problems just by being that powerful. So when she's out of the picture, it makes for a more entertaining movie, in my opinion. Now let me backtrack a little bit in regards to the ensemble movie. Like, she can't be in it for the entire movie. The same way Scarlet Witch couldn't be in the entire movie because they're just so overly powered comparatively to everyone else. You know, so don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the Captain Marvel movie, and I'm very, very much looking forward to Captain Marvel 2, The Marvels, for sure. Now, the other post-credit scene was just his sister becoming the leader of the Ten Rings, and training both men and female. I really hope they show up again before Shang-Chi 2, because that would be a long time for those characters that were so awesome to be left out. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Abomination cameo when him and Wong were fighting. It looked like to me that he was being brought back to a cell, like a high-tech cell, probably on the raft, leading me to believe Thunderbolts is definitely coming. They may not be the Thunderbolts. They may be the Dark Avengers. We'll see. But more on that coming soon. I didn't actually do a prediction for Shang-Chi, and it was kind of fun going in kind of just blind. Like, I didn't really try to make any theories about it. I just went in. That was kind of fun. But that's all I have for Shang-Chi. Absolutely fantastic movie. Haven't seen it. Go. Definitely show your support for an amazing team, an amazing movie. Just fantastic all the way around. I'm going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I'm going to talk about What If, kind of as a whole, how they all fit in together, but mostly about the zombie episode. Because, of course, you know, I love zombies. So what could be better than Marvel Zombies? I have a few ideas. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So, what if? Come with me, and I will show you the world of what if. So, I've absolutely loved the What If series so far. And I'll get into a little spec and theories in a little bit about What If. But I must say that I was very impressed with a lot of things they've done. And the Marvel zombie episode was, well, at least the first episode, because it definitely appears like there'll be a second one, was very entertaining. But there was a lot of things that took me right out of the episode. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and just back out now and come back whenever you're ready to listen, because I'm definitely going to go into spoiler territory for the episode of What If. It comes out on Wednesdays, so this drops Sunday morning. So I feel like if you haven't seen it, then you probably haven't and aren't going to see it anytime soon. So that being said, let's continue. So for me, there was way too much. There was an excessive amount of humor. Like anytime something like almost like real or important, it was just immediately followed up by a joke that just took me right out of it. Couple main examples would be when Okoye dispatches zombie Falcon, and she makes this comment about, sorry, that was your friend. He's like, I should feel something, but I don't. Like that, like, maybe if that was a better joke, I would have been more receptive to it, but that fell flat for me and completely took me out of that scene where literally it should have been a heartfelt moment where Sam was killed, well, zombie Sam, right in front of Bucky. That's not what we got. And then the entire blam, 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 blam with Happy, that was absolutely just a dead point of that episode where I was I was not happy. I was so unhappy with it I can't even formulate a correct sentence. Like, it was a little much with the birds but I was okay with it because Sharon said something about it. I was like, oh, she called him out on it. That's freaking stupid. But then after he was just shot in the arm, like in the shoulder with a fucking arrow, excuse my language. Wow. I did not even mean to curse right there. I hear Cap in the background. Language. We're not going to talk about the fact that Cap just said language. I know. It just slipped out. But literally, so Hawkeye shot him with an arrow, went through his shoulder blade, and then he was pulling him in on a freaking line, and he's still doing it. Too far. It definitely did not feel like a zombie movie right then. A zombie show, or at all. Like it was like a parody. And I was not happy with that at all. And then, even when... And Paul Rudd's part was entirely entertaining. But even then, like it took me out of the episode. Like the incessant like dad puns. Like it just took me out. But that's what I didn't like. Now there was a ton of things to love about this episode. For me, some of the very key high points would be, of course, the Cloak of Levitation, just being so awesome. Helping Spider-Man out, helping the Hulk out, and then literally flying around a Futurama-style Paul Rudd head. And I mean, that was great. The freaking cape that literally like took out like 2 people at the beginning of that episode. And I did like all the almost mirror of the true MCU. So of course the Hulk falls down to Earth like he did in Infinity War. But there's no one there this time. And then even right then, same thing that happened in Wakanda when Bruce tried to change. They had the little argument, and he said no. Well, actually, they did that too, like right then as well. But that was really nice. I like that. And of course, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the zombies. In any genre, really, even like the horrible B, C, and D zombie movies I'm into. But that was that's something I really liked. I did enjoy very much. Like one scene that just was amazing was Cap, Zombie Cap, and Bucky. I guess this is the end of the line. Damn. That was tough. That was a great, like right then, such a moment that should have been savored, and it was followed up almost immediately by, "Oh, I'm covered in Sharon." Like, that was the decision they made, to have her go in and just explode out of her right after that happened. Took me out. But another really, really amazing thing was Spider-Man. And oh my God, I so thought for sure when he started going into one of his many speeches in the episode, I 100% thought he was going to say, my Aunt May said, with great power comes great responsibility. And then it didn't happen. But we did get our first official mention of Uncle Ben in the MCU, because he hasn't said Uncle Ben at all in any of the Spider-Man movies. So we get our first official Uncle Ben reference, which is awesome. Because, of course, Uncle Ben's a huge part of Spider-Man's lore. And of course, the MCU went a different route with telling his story, because they didn't want to do another reboot origin movie, and I understand why. But they also, oh my God, how about Zombie Scarlet Witch? How unbelievably terrifying is that? And I loved the artwork that they did, like the darks and the reds, like shimmering, like it was freaking beautiful, absolutely stunning. And now one thing I do want to point out is, where's Bucky? Wanda just threw his ass. We don't know where he landed. He's a super soldier. with a vibranium arm and a vibranium shield and guns. Lots of guns. Like the Matrix. I'm going to sidebar real quick. Matrix 4. Yo. I'm going to do a breakdown of that coming very soon. I promise. I'm so psyched for Matrix 4. But I digress. Another great point, of course, was Hulk versus Zombie Scarlet Witch. Oh, I want an extended version of that. Like, I want to see how that ended. I so hope we get to see how that fight went. And of course, we get to hear Chadwick Boseman again, rest in power. Wakanda forever. In my culture, death is not the end. You're not gone as long as people remember you. Oh my God. Tugging at my heartstrings on that one, man. Chadwick Boseman was a legend. And it's funny. I used to think, before he passed, like just like the number of like iconic people he has played. I mean, he was Jackie Robinson. He was, oh man, what was that singer? I can't think of it off the top of my head. Hey, someone will know who it is and leave it in the chat. And leave it in the comments. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head. But then, and then, Black Panther. I mean, like, this man did so much with the time he was given, and he lived more in those years that he was, doing what he loved and playing these iconic roles and didn't tell anybody. So, like, you think about the like, if you look at his filmography and just look at all the roles that he did, you would think now, like, man, could you imagine if he didn't get those roles and he died of cancer and we didn't get these iconic performances? I mean, think about it. What if he wasn't casting Jackie Robinson? Would he be T'Challa? I don't think so. I mean, possible, but it definitely wouldn't have been like James Brown. That's the guy's name. The guy's played legend after legend and then became a legend. Gone way before his time. Now that I got all sad and emotional, back to What If, and then of course, you had Thanos waiting for them in Wakanda. Now my question is, how did he get into the force field? That's what I want to know. Like, I thought initially, like, when I first watched it, like, that may have been, like, New York that he was standing in. But I'm definitely thinking it's Wakanda. So, like, they're literally flying the Mind Stone to him, to a zombie Thanos. A zombie Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. Are you kidding me? How you going to beat that? You can't. I'm pretty sure this is another universe that's going kaputzi. Chalk that one up right next to the Doctor Strange universe that he destroyed. That's now, think about it. That's 2 weeks in a row that love was the defining factor in the destruction of that universe. I mean, sure, as of right now, we don't know what, like, the final result of this zombie verse is, but zombie apocalypse took over the entire world, including the Avengers and obviously Thanos. So that's just like on another scale, man. Like, that's whoo. So, all right. Now, and I spoke about this before. Initially, I felt that it was all one universe, and obviously that was 100% put to bed in the Doctor Strange episode, and then further confirmed in this one. So I'm wondering now. This is definitely some Nerdtooine spec and Nerdtooine theory here. What if? You see what I did there? What if the Watcher is actually planning on interfering and is gathering together a group of enhanced individuals to fight a battle that he can't? And I say that because I am starting to believe more and more that the real villain of What If, because not necessarily that there had to be a villain, but I feel like it's setting up for a villain that I first reported, I don't even know how long ago it was, that Shuma-Gorath is going to be a main villain in Doctor Strange 2. So we have confirmation that Wanda is the main villain in Doctor Strange 2. Now, that being said, I have a sneaking suspicion that Shuma-Gorath is more responsible for Wanda going full evil. Because even in the moments when in the past she let herself go and gave into her rage or whatever you want to call it, she was still more or less a good guy. Even in the beginning when she was going against the Avengers, she was manipulated along with her brother from the very start. And they had, obviously anti-Avengers fervor due to what happened in Sokovia. So she wasn't necessarily evil then. She just saw the means, that she had no worry about the means to the end. She had a goal. She was going to get to it. She was going to make the Avengers pay. I mean, her family died, right in front of her. Her whole country was destroyed, pretty much. We could argue about whether or not she was morally in the right, wrong, or gray area, but that's not really what we're talking about here. So I could see that Shuma-Gorath, who has not really appeared too much in the comics, but has been, a big player in the background. I believe that Shuma-Gorath is manipulating Wanda into fracturing the multiverse in order to kind of smoke out certain people, such as America Chavez. Now, America Chavez has the ability to transverse the multiverse. So, that being said, Shuma-Gorath would definitely want something like that. Want to be able to do that. Because Shuma-Gorath is, for those who don't know, let me back up, because some people might not know who this is. So, Shuma-Gorath first appeared as an adversary to Doctor Strange in Marvel Premiere number 10. Created by Steven Englehart, Frank Berner. Yes, I'm reading right off Wikipedia. You can kiss my butt. Excuse me. He is a very powerful entity. He tries to, return to Earth, and in the comics, use the mind of the Ancient One to try to gain foothold on the Earth. Now, since the Ancient One is dead, I can see that having a connection, and even more so because I think that Shuma-Gorath is stuck in his dimension and is trying to get to ours. it's there's a connection here. Nicholas Scratch, okay? So Nicholas Scratch is someone who I postulated that was going to be in WandaVision because of the fact that that's Agatha's son. Now, there is some theories that the bunny may have been Nicholas Scratch, and there was also a scene that was shot but ended up deleted because they couldn't get the CGI done in time, where Monica Rambeau and Boner went down to the basement to get the Darkhold, and they had to fight a demon. So, in the comics, Nicholas Scratch summons Shumagarath in one of the cases. So that I can see an easy tie-in there that the Darkhold and Wanda being in the Darkhold, okay, at the end of WandaVision, is how Shumagarath will use her mind to try to come to our dimension. And that scream of her kids that she hears when she's looking into the Darkhold at the end of WandaVision could be Shumagarath using something in her mind to push her to release him. And Wanda going nuts in the multiverse, messing shit up, especially after Loki's the end of Loki, where He Who Remains was killed and all the branches branched off, which also was why What If can even happen in the first place. See how it's all tying together. I think that will bring out America Chavez, or Doctor Strange may, let me rephrase that, Doctor Strange may go search out America Chavez to try to stop what Wanda's doing, and that is exactly what Shumagarath wants. And I think Shumagarath is going to be the hidden real villain of Doctor Strange 2, and I think Shumagarath is the main villain of What If, because it's a dimensional being, so it would be theoretically possible for it to appear in multiple places in different parts of the multiverse. Like in the first episode with Captain Carter. And then again with Doctor Strange. I definitely see a connection. And the fact that we know 100% that Captain Carter is going to show up in Doctor Strange 2, it's definitely possible that Shumagarath, and the reason why she's in is because Doctor Strange went looking for some people who have fought Shumagarath before. So that's just some Nerdtooine spec and theory that I've been working on. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. We'll find out. I have no problem being wrong, but I've been pretty right so far. If you haven't checked out my theories in the past, they've been spot on. I'm pretty sure that I am the only person on the planet who still has a WandaVision theory alive. I made a theory before the start of the show that both Wiccan and Speed would show up, which they did. They wouldn't survive the show, which they didn't. And then they would return as like the teenage versions in Doctor Strange 2 and help him stop Wanda from destroying the multiverse. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I actually said that they'd be teens, but that's what I was thinking when I made the theory. I have a WandaVision theory that's still alive. You're welcome. I mean, if you guys are listening to me, you'll be able to know things before they happen like I do. You know what else? I called Jonathan Majors showing up in Loki before the series. And I even said he wouldn't be in, quote, he would not be full Kang mode. That's what we got. Again, I saw that coming. After the second episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I predicted the end. I predicted that people were going to hate the new Captain America. and that by the end of the series he would lose the shield and become U.S. agent, and we're end up going to love him. That's another theory that's still technically alive, because we don't know how U.S. agent is going to be portrayed moving forward. I mean, I know myself, guys. Back in May, I called Noctera being optioned. If you would have listened to me, you would have stocked up on him like I did. I will admit. So now I'm almost done. I'm going to wrap it up with this, a little fun anecdote. So as many of you may know, I sell a lot of things on Whatnot. I do sports cards, comic books. I'm going to start doing some sports memorabilia, some Star Wars stuff. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on there. But, so I have a lot of books, right? And some books that I want to keep and not sell. Because I have a tendency of selling things a little too early. Like, for instance, Stray Dogs. I had a Stray Dogs, the Silence of the Lamb cover, which is going for like $80 to $100 right now. Last I checked, at least. I sold it and a first print, a cover, for like $80. Sure, I made a huge profit off of it, but I could have made a bigger profit if I would have just held on to it a little more. So what I did was I went through my long box, my incentive ratios and all that stuff, and I took out all the ones that I thought would be hang on to books. Like I put my Stray Dog, my last remaining Stray Dog cover A in there. I put my Dr. Vader #3 4th print Dr. Aphra. My Fantastic Four #19 first appearance of Rama Tut. But I say that because I went literally. I remember when I first read the first issue of Noctera, I went out and bought as many Noctera covers as I could find. And I didn't realize how many #1s I actually had. I found 2 of the A covers, which are now like $34 books because of the confirmation. I found an extra Boss Logic cover. I went out and tried to grab another one like a week ago because I sold one I thought was my last one. So I say all that to so I took it all out. I made a whole short box, right? Brought it to my folks' place and said, "Here, I need you to hold on to these, so I won't be tempted to sell them too early." So like I can't just like on a hunch be like, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that out of the closet and put it on one of my shows because someone asked for it. Like I'd have to wait till like it really blew up and be like, "Hey, yo, ma, coming over to freaking grab it." You know what I mean? So I don't know why I felt like that was something I should say. I think it was a funny thing I did, because I have a tendency to know something's gonna happen before it does, and I try to act on my impulse. So many people on my Whatnot shows, my Whatnot comic shows, have gotten steals. Or even on my card shows, I just had long story. My sports card show didn't go so well. The first one, I did a surprise one earlier in a couple hours ago, actually. It didn't go as well as I'd hoped, but whatever. But the first one, I sold a Chris Bosch rookie for $6. The man was just inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I said soon to be Hall of Famer before he actually was inducted. Like I can predict everything. Just listen to me. That's all I'm saying. But thank you so much for stopping by and listening. If you've made it now, 54 minutes in, I greatly appreciate it. You're a rock star, and I do this as much for myself as I do for all of you. So if you like what you have heard, please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Do all that amazing algorithm assisting stuff. Please give me a like if it's on YouTube. Yeah, that's basically it. I do want to send a few shout outs to a couple people real quick. Wolverine's Comic Shops. Wolverine's Comic Shop. I really appreciate everything you do for me, my man. You've done a lot more than you realize. If nothing else, you gave me my first ever voice acting gig, which has sparked me to really pursue that moving forward. So I really thank you for that. It's greatly appreciated. and then of course I want to thank Whatnot, because a lot of things that I've been able to achieve in the last few months is specifically because of associating with Whatnot and being and selling for Whatnot. Like I'm so happy. I don't know if this is the first time I've announced it on the podcast, but Nerdtooine is about to be on the back of a Invincible #1 exclusive cover by Tyler Kikham. Like, not even joking. Like, legit. Nerdtooine. Me. Like I created Nerdtooine. And by the way, I have to get I'm really loving the fact that I created this. But Invincible #1. My Nerdtooine is going to forever be synonymous with Whatnot first 100 or so sellers. And I'm incredibly humbled and honored beyond belief to have that opportunity. And again, I just really wanted to say thank you, because the idea that something I've done has led me to be in this position right now, it's truly staggering and mind-blowing and just incredibly motivational and humbling. And yeah, thank you. That's really all I wanted to say. Yeah, that's really it, guys. I just got into my feelings a little bit, because it's set in again that I'm on the back of an Invincible comic. Like I can't wait to hold it in my hand, and I don't even know. Like, obviously the smart thing would be to sell one, because I'm getting a copy because I'm on it, and thank again for Whatnot for doing that. But I don't know if I can bring myself to do it. I feel like I'm going to get it framed and put up on the wall. We'll see. But that's it, guys. Thank you very much. And if you're not already following me on Whatnot, please do. I'm so close to my 500 follower giveaway. It's going to be a slab. I'm not sure what slab at this point. I've said like 3 different ones at this point. But thanks. Really. Until next time, this is Nerdpool Prime, signing off.